Hey guys, we're going to start the pen tool today. And with these videos, we're going to draw these 5 different characters we have here, starting with the circle in this first video, and then moving on to the little half moon, our pointy arrow, our gear, and our mad cow down here in the other 4 videos. Using the pen tool and some other vector shapes that are over here in our Photoshop tools bar. But again, we're going to start with the circle tool today. So zoom in here if you haven't yet, get yourself a good old view of what you're working with. And sometimes Photoshop can be kind of stinky, and as we're drawing all these different shapes, sometimes it wants to kind of make conjoined twins out of them and have potentially our circle and our moon living together. So do me a quick favor and make yourself a little circle layer here to get started with. Now, some people that are familiar with the pen tool and some of the other tools that exist over here in vector shapes are probably going to be like, why in the world are we drawing a circle when an actual circle tool exists, which is the ellipses tool? Well, sometimes it's just nice to know how to build things yourself. Now, in the future, of course, I want you to use the circle tool like on the cow for his eyeballs. But just to get started off with today, it's just kind of a nice, simple, basic shape to start with for us to learn and practice with. So come over here and find your pen tool. We talked about some of these other guys earlier today, so we won't hit on them. And then make sure your pen tool is no longer set to path, but to shape. If it's set to path, you're going to kind of get this really thin, like hairline thick shape, but it doesn't actually color or do anything. It will still work, and we have to kind of manipulate it a little differently to get your shape on the screen. But we just want to have that shape initially pop up. So let's go ahead and set that to shape. Once you've chose shape, you have the ability to choose an inside color, as well as a stroke color, which is the outside. And I'll just slap a little shape on here so you can see it. Inside colors is light blue, outside colors is red. I can adjust the thickness of that stroke. I could adjust what it's doing. Obviously that doesn't look very good. There we go. So we have lots of options here. I'm just going to leave it pretty basic for today. And I think it makes life easier too when you're just like initially making these things to hit this little no smoking sign and just kill that inside color, like remove that fill. So when we're drawing these shapes, sometimes it like kind of jumps around and does some weird stuff. So this will help you see your shape a little better. It's going to help you see what you're tracing. And it's also going to help make sure that you actually complete what you're drawing. So I've got a little weird shape here. I'm going to get rid of that. Make myself my circle layer again, because I accidentally drew on it. Your circle is only going to require 5 clicks. I see a lot of people start doing this, and yeah, you're getting a shape, but it's not going to ever be smooth. We want as few points as possible for the circle, so then you can really control it and get what you want. Stroke here. So what you're going to do is you are going to start up here at the very top. Now there's 2 types of clicking. There's clicking and pulling, or there's just clicking and dropping an anchor point. We have a curve, so we have to always click and pull. So you're going to start up here at the top. Think of this thing like a clock. Let me use my paintbrush tool here real quick. You're going to start right here at 12 o'clock. We're going to work our way around, that looks really terrible, around our circle. We're going to go clockwise. So we're going to go this way. You're going to drop another anchor point by clicking and pulling at 3 o'clock. We're going to go this way. Drop an anchor point at 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and then we're going to end up back where we started at 12. So that's your 5 clicks. 1, 2, 3, 4, and back here at 5. So check this out. Starting up here at the top at 12 o'clock, I'm clicking, I'm still holding my mouse down, and I'm pulling. And as I pull, these crazy little arms pop out. You want tiny little baby arms right now. Big, long shack arms cause our circle or our shape later on to be crazy. So little tiny baby arms. I'm going to let go. Now for those of us starting the pen tool for the first time, this initial point is the craziest point. It makes no sense. It's like, why am I drawing this? I see nothing happening. Trust me, it gets better. So I'm coming around my clock, going clockwise, coming down here to 3 o'clock. I'm clicking and I'm pulling again. Now, hey, look, I'm starting to get that little ghosted hairline there. And you're going to notice the longer your arms or the shorter your arms, that line kind of dances around and moves with it. Now you're going to be tempted to do like a big huge pull. Trust me, don't do it yet. Just little tiny baby arms. And I want you to pull down in the direction that we're going. So I'm pulling down because I'm going to 6 o'clock. Don't pull up. Because if you look really closely, I've got like a J shape now. And my circle is going the wrong way. So I just always got to pay attention to which way I'm pulling. When I let go, now I have a line that's actually appearing and I can kind of see what's happening. Notice you don't have a fill because we just kind of temporarily turn that off so it's not getting in our way. If you have a fill, it's really no big deal. It just might get in the way here in a little bit. Do not come back here and try to click and pull on these little handlebars yet. We're going to do that later. 6 o'clock, same thing, clicking and pulling. I can see my little line kind of appearing. I'm totally not worried that it's going to be not on my circle because I can fix that later. 9 o'clock, clicking, pulling up because that's the direction I'm going. And now I'm not done. I have one final click, and that's up here at the top where I started. And hopefully you can kind of see on my screen when I hover over that anchor point, a tiny little circle appears next to my cursor. That means I'm going to complete this shape. And I set the click once, and I'm done. So you're looking at this and you're like, oh my gosh, this is totally not a circle. Why did I do this? We're going to fix it. Come down to Tools on your Tools bar, and you'll see a little arrow guy. There's 2 little arrows in there. It's underneath your text tool. Path selection and direct selection. Path selection is basically the move tool for vector shapes. We want direct selection. That's going to be our manipulator. So with your white direct selection arrow, you can double click on any of these little points and you can adjust them. So then your circle starts to look more like a circle. If I accidentally dropped an anchor point somewhere other than where it needed to be, I can grab that and I can adjust where it's sitting at. But more importantly, I can grab an arm and I can start twisting and pulling and shifting and manipulating it till it starts to look like a circle. Now, this part of my circle is controlled not only by this little arm, but this little guy that's poking up right here as well. So it takes 2 arms to control a path. So I just have to kind of bounce back and forth between those guys until I really get that curve looking the way I want. So that's not so bad. So as I come down here to my next little chunk, and I grab the little handlebar just like I did a little bit ago. If my mouse will click on it. Come here, little guy. You're going to notice a problem. As I start to fine tune one side, it starts to ruin the other side of my circle. So here's the trick. Once you've got a hold of that little arm, hold down your Option key. And when I have a hold of my Option key, it totally locks all the other points, all the little handlebars, anywhere else, so I'm only manipulating one at a time. But what's handy is once you've held down Option on a point, it remembers it. So check this out. I'm grabbing the other handlebar. I am no longer holding that key down, and it remembered it. So you don't have to like continually hold that button down. If you do, sometimes what happens to people is it clones their shape, which is what I just did here. Come here, little mouse. And you don't want that to happen. We don't need duplicate copies. We just want that little circle to pay attention. Did I back up too far? Where did my circle go? There we go. So what I need you to do is using your white arrow and your Option key only once per spot. You're going to come in here and you are going to adjust all of your little handlebars to start to look more like a circle. Now, is it going to be super perfect? Probably not, but you'll make it look the best that you can. And to me, that looks pretty darn good. Little tip, if I show you all of my handlebars, now it won't let me wake them all up at once, but notice how they're all kind of either side to side or straight up and down. They're not kicked out all cattywampus like that. That's the trick to smoothing these curves out so they're nice and steady. When you have big, long, crazy arms shooting off at weird angles, that's what makes your circle go nuts. Once you have your circle drawn, come back up here and add a fill shape. Excuse me, a fill color. You can also adjust your stroke if you no longer really care for whatever color you're working with. And you can adjust the thickness of that stroke. You got that done. Check out your layers. It should all be existing on one circle layer. And save it and move on to the next video.